Now, Freddie, you're passionate about leadership, but you're a business person. You're a business person as well. Because I listen to you talk, you using the words we now, right? Like this ain't just Freddie over here doing something. You're building something.
Yep.
And so maybe there's somebody who is building some business. And this may be part-time, this may be full-time, someone thinking about a business. I want to ask you this. The True North Group, you've been doing this full-time for about 5 years, but you were doing it before that. What are some of the lessons that you would say, I wish I could tell Freddie Russell this 5 years ago? Some business lessons you've learned in the process of building, monetizing, growing this business.
Sometimes in building a business, it's not always straightforward. There is no fundamental step by step by step. There's almost an opaqueness to it as well. It's not always clear what you should be doing. So if I can go back and speak to the Freddie Russell 5 years ago, and I think that's the question that you're asking me, I would have a lot more conversations on how to market the business. Um, I would have a lot more conversations on how to develop what your price points are going to be, because I was coming from a world of honorariums, and it's a different world of honorarium. And this, and you discover about 2 hours into it that you can't live on an honorarium. It's got to be a bit more. But I was uncomfortable in knowing how to set a price point and how to not to undervalue myself and not to overvalue myself either. I didn't know how to establish that. And so I did a lot of fits and starts. I blew a lot of early things because I didn't know how to talk about the money part with us. I would have a coach or someone, a Camone, who only discovered later, we had some conversations, how to do that because that was not part of my wheelhouse of doing that. I go in and the church said, we give you $150, to do this. Or they give me 500, 700, and I think I hit the lotto at that point. And yet the business I was in, um, it's thousands of dollars per day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was not prepared to ask that, even though I was worth it with what I was bringing. So I would need some help there. And knowing how to set that early, which I did not know. I think if I go back to the Freddie Russell, I would even be deeper on my knees at that point, making sure that I'm asking what Solomon asked for. God, give me wisdom, because when the anointing gets on you, God gives you wisdom beyond knowledge. He gives you skill beyond your abilities, and He does some supernatural stuff. And I now try to stay in the realm, and I don't want to sound mystic here, but I stay in the realm of the supernatural because I believe that God can do anything. And I believe that there are no limits that God places on me. I think Mark Batterson in his book All In says that our biggest problem is our small view of God,
Yeah.
that there's no limit to God's power. And I was stepping into this and I was disbelieving what God could pull off.
Yeah.
And it's only when I began to kick in that I knew how to ask for what I needed. I knew how to frame it. I knew how to come at it as opposed to naming the figure right off. I learned to ask when folks said, what do you charge for this? My first question was, what is your budget?
That's good.
Um, to allow them to tell me what the budget was. Sometimes they'll say, well, we don't have a budget. What is your what is your rates? I said, well, I prefer to work off of some framing where you are first, because sometimes what they want to offer was larger than what you're going to put out there. And because I'm coming from an honorarium community, I had to learn that. And if they insist, then I do have a daily rate that I charge, and I've not had I've had to negotiate it a couple of times. The most times, folks take my daily rate and go with it.
Yeah.
Now, just a corporate client I just closed on last week. They wanted to negotiate, and I just explained to them that the rate I'm giving you, and I'm able to talk about this now. I was not this articulate 5 years ago. Is that I'm not? You're not just paying for the service of that day or two. You're paying for all of the preparation, all of the time investment that has gone into this. And I just began to list the things in the contract that this is what goes into this price right here, which begins to settle folk down at that point because you're dealing with business. They're going to always want to negotiate you down.
Yeah.
But again, I'm finding more and more businesses. If you bring value to the table, they're going to take it. I had a corporate client on the West Coast, and they get down to price point. I'm online with them, with their CEO of a massive company. And she says, what is your price point with this? I says, what is your budget? She says, we don't have a budget for this. What is your price point? And I named it. She says, okay. And we got off the phone. I said, man, I settled too low. On that. I should have been a lot higher for that. But the fact is I was comfortable in that the process worked. And I was so grateful to the Lord. Now, my price points are pretty significant now, where they are. But I have learned what I didn't know 5 years ago. Is the final one, is that when you get a fish on the hook, and I say that not pejoratively, but metaphorically, you don't want to lose that fish. And sometimes it's better to negotiate down if you have to, because if you do well, they call you back. As I'm doing with the company now, you come back at your regular price point. The thing is, I'm going to be as pliable as I can. And as one person said, we like how you came at this. You are a partner with us in trying to get to a price point. I'm learning to be as flexible as I can because I'm not only want business for this moment, I want it long term as well.
Yeah. Freddie, for those watching this, Freddie is giving you a masterclass on how to monetize your ministry to organizations, right? For some of the guests that I've had on here before, they've talked about coaching and individuals. You're getting paid by consumers, right? Business to consumers, B2C. Freddie is doing business to business. And it's very important to learn how to have that money conversation.